Welcome to episode 19 of the ADV podcasts. Today is a very serious topic. This is our coronavirus special. We're going to be focusing the entire episode to the coronavirus, any updates and insights that we may have. So, it's pretty serious.
Yeah, it is pretty serious. We will be doing segments, but they will all be related to said coronavirus.
Absolutely. So, should we, without any further ado, just move on to the first segment?
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to talk about what's new. Now, today we're talking about what's new as far as the coronavirus is, of course, concerned. We're going to start out with, I'm sure some of you have noticed the thumbnail of this video has the Chinese flag where the 5 stars have been replaced with the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you explain what went down with this?
This was they're calling it a cartoon. I don't really want to call it a cartoon. It's kind of like when you go on a news website and there's just a filler picture, right, for an article. It's not that big of a deal. It wasn't to make a statement or anything,
well,
right? It's stylized.
It's satire.
It's satire, it's stylized, right?
Yeah.
So you have this picture of the Chinese flag with the actual coronavirus depictions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, from our experience with China and dealing with like Western media, when anything is portrayed in either a joking or negative manner about China, that's when the glass hearts shatter, right? Yeah. So you had a lot of netizens just going absolutely ape about this.
Not only the netizens, but this happened where?
In Denmark.
Yes. Well, the Chinese consulate in Denmark also released a very strongly worded thing demanding an apology.
Yeah.
And they used the tried and true, you've hurt the feelings of the Chinese people.
I'm waiting for them
bullshit.
to stop. They need to like switch it up a little bit. You've damaged the hearts, you know?
Yeah. It's actually quite ridiculous because Chinese people aren't that weak that a picture like this is going to hurt their feelings, especially when they're dealing with a freaking crisis.
Can I give a little insight into this?
Sure.
So the reason that this actually pissed so many people off in China is because of that strongly worded letter.
Yes.
And it's because the government told them they're supposed to be mad at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if this was released and like Chinese people had seen it, I don't think anyone would have given a shit, dude.
No, absolutely. I
You
mean,
know?
it's very, very normal to see people in China trampling on Japanese flags or burning them or doing whatever whenever it suits them. And that's just, it's normal. Any country in the world, you're going to have people that hate other countries and that make fun of other countries and trample other people's rights and ideas and things like that. It's quite normal. But in China, it's a one-way street.
Yeah. Well, the end of my insight to that was that, so the people got all riled up because they were told to, right? And it's always this deflection thing. The Chinese government's really mad that the rest of the world, like us, is talking about the coronavirus right now, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, everyone get up, look at what they're doing. They're making us lose face.
Yeah. Why is it that they want to divert attention to something like this and make a big thing of it in the state media and to make all Chinese people focus on this when they should be focusing on the real deal?
You know how the CCP always says, like, China's a peace-loving nation and we don't promote hatred. Oh, we just want to get on with our lives, Chinese dream, all this kind of stuff. Why do they put so much effort to promote hatred then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what was the result?
Can I have to say this, and this is not for all Chinese people, but China's got to step up their meme game. This is pretty embarrassing.
Well, I mean, it's just ridiculous that this is the go-to response, is this childish kindergarten, grade school level, oh, you're going to make fun of our flag, we're going to make fun of your flag. Can you guys grow up? I mean, look at this crap over here. Fuck the Dane.
Right.
Dane are bitches. I mean,
the little poops.
Yeah, I know.
This is such poor effort too.
Yeah, no.
And look at they even use one of those like
arrogance, rudeness.
Look at the panda dude. That meme's from like 06, dude.
Anyway, I mean, it just goes to show that all clout that they may have had anyway to be like, don't make fun of our flag, just piss it out the window because look, this is the way that China reacts.
For sure. And the funny thing is, I went on the Denmark Reddit, which is all Danish people. And they're just having a field day with this. They're dying. Because this is the thing. Is I had a discussion with my father-in-law, right? And he remember when I made that video about, like, I spoke Chinese and I said, it called out the nationalists in China. I said, you guys keep saying, and people don't believe this, you keep saying I can't criticize my own government.
Yeah.
Right? I can only criticize China because I'm not Chinese, right?
Yeah.
So I criticized the American government in that video, right?
Yeah.
My father-in-law still holds the belief that I can't speak out against my government, right?
It's ridiculous.
And this is what these netizens also think, right? They really actually believe that Danish people are going to look at this and be like, I can't believe they went that far. And they're just laughing.
Yeah,
you know?
Again, trying to divert attention away from the problems. Now, you see, I can actually give a real-world anecdote as far as this is concerned, because people very often, when I criticize China, they will say, oh, yeah, what about your shit South Africa? What about your South Africa? Why don't you talk about that? And I do. That's the problem. I do. I bring up the corruption, the level of crime, the absolute state that South Africa is in a lot. I've got tons of videos about it. I talk about it all the time. And the reason I do that is so people can understand and light can be shone on the situation and we can try to fix that. But you see, what happens with the Chinese netizens, etc., is they're not willing to shine a light, or because they're afraid and they'll actually get censored and they might get into trouble. But, you know, the whole point is these problems are being ignored. And rather they'll stand up and pull shit like this rather than face these issues. So I do criticize the government of the country that I'm from all the time.
As do I.
Because that's the only way we're going to fix things. Anyway, let's move on. There's something else in the What's New.
That's probably the most lighthearted part of this episode.
Yeah. So...
All right. So here we have, this is, I believe, a doctor in Shanghai. Or no, it's
no, it is. You can read his code.
Yeah, it's
read his code.
Okay, sorry. So this doctor is in Shanghai, and this is what's going on. So this doctor, apparently, who knows, because you're going to find out that this picture might be fake, like some of the other news in state broadcasts. But anyway, this doctor came up with a prevention method for the coronavirus. Now, this came out and is promoted all over Weibo. It was on CGTN, CCTV. And it was a way to calm down the Chinese people, saying, listen, soon we're going to have a solution. Came out later that they said, okay, yeah, it's proven, it works, right? But the clinical trials might take up to 6 years, right?
Yeah.
Number one, I don't believe that this doctor is claiming that this repairs all of your mucous membrane.
It's something you spray in your throat. It's like a breath freshener.
Yeah.
You spray it in your mouth, and it apparently will stop you from contracting the virus. And it's already been invented.
Stop the reproduction of the virus.
Yeah.
It repairs all of your tissue.
Yeah.
How does that exist, number one? And number two, why? Well, it's very clear why they put this out, is to calm people down, right?
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that we've been seeing so much fake media come out of the Chinese media right now about this in like prevention efforts, not for preventing the disease, but preventing uprisings, unrest, complaints. It's
all about calming people down.
Yeah.
And instilling trust and what's the word I'm looking for here? They basically want people to trust the government and to listen and have faith in the government. That's what it is. So by feeding people a lot of bullshit about how it's not so serious. Look, we've already got a cure. You know, everything's cool. Look, Denmark made fun of us. They're so bad. You know, this kind of thing. It's to divert attention away from the very real problems. Now, this is the issue I have, and you're going to hear this a lot in this video, is we are being deflected constantly away from what's really going on. And this is to the detriment of Chinese people and the rest of the world. This deflection, let's look elsewhere. Let's feed them bullshit news. Nonsense. It's all there to take our attention away from the very real problem which we can be helping to prevent. But because of all this crap, it's actually just propagating and getting worse.
We'll get into that a little bit more.
Yeah, it's probably time that we hit our next section, which is, of course, our main section for the show, and that is Soft Power Hour. I know you want to do questions, but we'll do that after this. I think we've got to get straight into this. So, you know, Soft Power Hour is where we talk about, as everyone knows, all the things that China is trying to do to change your little minds.
They're not little.
No, well, that's what they think. They're like, just tell them that we're great, and they're just going to believe us. Let's get a billboard in Times Square and say that, you know, China's the leader in
green
ecology and preserving, you know, stuff. And everyone's like, oh, wow, that's cool. Anyway, sorry.
I'm looking at a broken link. Why would you put this up here, Winston?
Well, okay. This again is just, it shows you the amount of disinformation that's coming out of the Chinese government at the moment. This is a broken link to, as you can see up there, Global Times.
Our favorite.
The Global Times is an official mouthpiece, an English language mouthpiece of the Chinese Communist Party. In fact, any media organization out of China is an official mouthpiece of the Chinese government, because what people seem to fail to realize is there is no private media in China.
None. Zero.
There's no CNNs, MSNBCs, Fox News. Those are all privately run. Every single media outlet in China has to answer to the government. They have to have everything that they put out must be vetted, censored,
Censor boards,
etc., etc. It all belongs to the government, and it all is a slave to the government's whims and wills, etc., etc. So anyway, the Global Times has often written a bunch of bollocks. They've written articles against me. They've written articles against us. They've written articles against everything you can think of, and they're pretty disgusting, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
But let's look at what they wrote here. They put out a news article, and we're going to have to talk about this.
Amazing! Huoshinshan Hospital, first building completed in 16 hours. Now, if you guys have been following the state media, it has been promoted, been watched by like 56 million people. They've been live streaming this emergency hospital facility.
Yes.
Right? And they're live streaming the construction of it. And this is, I want to talk about why this is so problematic.
Yeah.
Okay. If the capacity was there in China to deal with this, if the numbers that they are putting out are correct, then they don't need, within 16 hours, to put all this manpower and millions of dollars into these emergency hospitals. There's plenty of room, right?
Right.
Especially in this calm quarantine environment. Everyone has access to local hospitals. It's all state-run. It's all organized.
There are a lot of hospital beds in Wuhan.
There's tons. I believe there was 40,000 free at the time,
Okay.
right? So they rush and do this, and then even Western media was kind of falling prey to this. Even people that were critical of China in how they dealt with this, they're like, holy crap, look at what they can do when you get rid of democracy, when you get rid of all this red tape.
Everyone loves to jump on this bandwagon. Nobody could have dealt with this situation as well as China. Nobody could shut cities down and force people to stay home and cut off the railways and cut off everything and then build a hospital in 16 hours. Nobody, only China, as if it's some kind of a merit that this last minute bullshit. It's, I've got to get one of my little analogies in here, right? Okay, before we even continue.
You should have like a title for that.
Yeah, we should. If there's a man sitting in a burning house and he's been sitting in this burning house for days, and then all of a sudden, he gets up and he sprints at Olympic speed to the river to get a bucket of water to run back and throw on his house. Are you going to sit there and praise him for being such a fast runner?
No.
Because that's what's happening with these people that are saying, wow, look at how quickly they're building this, etc., etc. It's been a dumpster fire from the start, and people have to realize that. Stop praising these last-minute, efforts. And at the same time, don't discount them. They need to do this. This is necessary. It's good that they're doing this. I'm not saying that what they're doing is wrong or bad, but stop using it as some kind of an award to say, look how amazing they are. Because you know what? They dropped the ball from the beginning here.
And that's why the timeline is so important, because when you see news come up like this, it washes away the previous news that covered why this actually happened and why it shouldn't happen in the future.
Okay, but now why was this article taken down?
I have a great analogy myself.
When
you show the next thing. So we showed you that it's a broken link. He had to use Winston had to use the Wayback Machine, right?
Here's the People's Daily of China, which is again a really big mouthpiece of the CCP.
That's the biggest one, yeah.
And this is a tweet from them, and what they said. #update, after 16 hours of construction, the first building of the Huoshinshan Hospital in #Wuhan has completed on Monday. The hospital is expected to be handed over to the military on February 2nd upon completion and put into use for #coronavirus patients.
I don't think the Chinese government knows how hashtags work, because I don't think anyone's Googling #update.
No, I don't think so. But I mean,
I love updates.
Look, that aside, again, we have official state media tweeting this out as a big badge of like, look at what we've done in 16 hours. It's so amazing.
Now I'll show them what this actually was and why they took it down.
Yeah, why did they take it down?
Well, unfortunately, it's actually a stock photo, and it's used for prefab buildings made in China.
The government took a stock photo from a construction company in China that, of one of their mobile buildings, like prefab school buildings or whatever that they produce, and it's on their website. And it's the same photo, you can tell, because there's a bicycle in the front there and everything. It's the exact same photo. So they used a random stock photo to show the entire world how amazing their quick, speedy hospital construction went. Why would they be so stupid?
Now, this is my analogy.
Okay.
The reason the coronavirus happened, the reason it spread so quickly, the reason that it's such a dumpster fire, to use your words, is the exact same reason that this stock photo was used for this. And let me tell you why. When you have a system where no one is held accountable, right, and it's based on a tier of leadership, the top guy never wants the bad news.
Right.
The person delivering the bad news always gets shot. So that person is not incentivized to deliver said bad news, right? So there's it's almost a ladder of muteness. The higher you climb in that ladder, the more deaf you become.
Yeah.
So the top leadership doesn't actually know what's happening.
Right.
Because they don't want that news, right? And everyone in that chain of command is going to get hurt if they deliver that news. So this is how state media works in China too. This is what happened. The editor, and this is my speculation, but I'm pretty sure.
Right.
They get this command from the government. And they say, listen, what I want you to do is cover this whole construction of the hospital, right?
Right.
But we've already been told it's been completed, and it was supposed to be completed in 16 hours, right?
Sure.
And this person's like, well, it wasn't. And they're like, just deal with it, right? In that chain of command, there was probably a few people in between that actually believed that it was already completed.
Yeah.
But the person at the bottom can't deliver the bad news and say, listen, there's no photos because it's not done yet.
Yeah.
So they go on and they pulled the best that they could, you know?
They certainly did. Now, the reason why I can't believe the stupidity and the audacity of this all is because they are live streaming the construction of this thing. So why is it that somebody would see this and believe it when they can go online and see that there is nothing built yet?
Right.
You know?
It doesn't make any sense, right?
No.
There's ice cream here.
Sorry about the ice cream vans, guys. You know, we're going to have to let
it
them
adds
pass.
a cheery charm.
It does. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that since this has come out, we have seen pictures of what the actual buildings they're busy making are, and they're just like prefab, you know, construction worker hut type things. It's stuff you see all over China. And if you want to look it up, you can see what they actually are going to look like, and you can watch the live construction, and it is moving on.
But like I said, that chain of command, that lack of communication or willingness to openly communicate, that kind of what you said, deflection or lack of transparency, it shows. If the top broadcasts the People's frickin' Daily, a billion readers puts out a prefab stock photo.
A stock photo.
Then what do you think is happening behind the scenes with the coronavirus?
Exactly. It's not only the People's Daily. A pretty high prominent government official also tweeted the same picture with like China
There's no
speed.
Accountability.
It's once again trying to spread misinformation, trying to alleviate people's fears by, wow, we're so good, look what we did. Meanwhile, there are people dying in hospital beds all over the place in a very, very serious situation.
And I want to clarify that this foible, this mistake isn't that big of a deal, but it means so much more.
Yeah.
If they're making screw-ups at this level, imagine what's happening on the ground.
Yeah. Now, in the last couple of days, we've actually seen the stream of information out of China slow down to a trickle.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And the reason being, as we can see from this notice over here, is that the government is threatening anyone who like talks about or specifically criticizes the government's handling of the coronavirus is liable to get arrested and can face from 3 to 7 years imprisonment.
Now, we're going to catch shit for this unless we clarify it. We know that this notice does not say, like, if you even talk about it, you're going to jail. What this notice says is if you're spreading misinformation or you're criticizing, like, the efforts put in by the government. But, as we know, the rumor law in China, we should refresh if you guys are new-time viewers. Yeah. What is the rumor law?
Well, basically, if you are spreading disharmony or spreading rumors online, and that's basically the law, you can get arrested and detained.
But it's not actually rumors most of the time.
No, it's just like if you say something that they don't want you to say, you can be arrested. They arrested that woman for convincing her circle of friends to go out and buy rice and stock up on rice.
Because she was worried the shops were going to close.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, her friends and circle of family and stuff ran out and bought tons of rice. And obviously bought the whole shop out of rice or something, so they arrested her and made her do a public confession on TV, you know, for spreading rumors and disrupting harmony. This is what's going on in China. They can enact that law against anyone that they want.
And there's been 9 arrests that we can see in these pictures. 3 of them, the videos have been leaked, right? Which I have. We'll probably show those at some point.
Sure.
But I'll probably have to translate them in English first.
Yeah.
But anyway, long story short, these guys get punished for even talking about the coronavirus if it reaches a certain amount of audience. So you're going to get a lot of woo-mows probably in the comments here, or maybe even the chat. What they're going to say is, oh, we can freely talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Until your audience gets big enough. If you are in a WeChat group with enough people, you will have the attention of the government.
And what this notice is basically saying that you're only allowed to discuss news that has been released by the official Xinhua news agency. You are only allowed to parrot what the Chinese government says. That's the only news that you're allowed that's state approved. If you come up and you're a doctor or something and you start talking about numbers, and I think this comes from the fact that there have been those leaked videos of nurses and stuff saying that the numbers are way higher than anyone expects or that they're saying.
Yeah, this is a clear reaction to that.
They're like, you may not talk about this. You can only ever say what the Chinese government says through the Xinhua news agency. So this is a big worry, and this is why the flow of information has been cut down so much.
I mean, I've gotten a lot less than I did last week.
Yeah.
A lot less.
Especially from, like I said, I speak to my friends who are doctors, and they're so afraid at the moment.
They're terrified.
Yeah. First of all, they're afraid of, they've had to contact me through things like WhatsApp and VPNs now because they're worried about their WeChats being monitored. They're worried about trouble they can get into just by talking to me. They're worried about themselves not having the correct protection and masks and things like that.
I think a lot of people probably, when you look at the comments in some of the other media that's more pro-China, a lot of people will be convinced that Chinese people are not worried and that they're drinking the Kool-Aid. But that's not true. I've been speaking to people you remember where we had our motorcycle shop? Some people that we knew there. I just spoke to them yesterday on WeChat. They have physically seen dead people.
Yeah.
And a huge crackdown on getting people's bodies out of places, people falling ill. And this is in a place that has 0 reported cases.
Yeah, of course, man. That's the thing. A lot of people are not drinking the Kool-Aid. It's the people that are just, huddled up listening to what the government tells them and not questioning anything. These are the people that think everything's hunky-dory and fine. And this is part of this. Oh, look, we've just built this new hospital in 16 hours. Look,
we have this cure.
Our great Chinese government has already made this building for us. Bullshit. It doesn't exist. It's a stock photo. Oh, look, we have a spray that will immunize us. Yeah, so we don't need to worry. Bullshit. It's not true. It's fake. And even if it is true, it's not available for you. And it's alleviating people's fears. I don't want to spoil my video for tomorrow, but I really do want to talk about the flu thing.
Go for it.
I really do. Guys, I've already filmed my video for tomorrow.
It's like a small piece.
One of the main things that I bring up is the whole thing about flu. One thing that has been big on both of our channels and anyone who talks about the coronavirus is they come in with a statistic and they say, well, American people, 80,000 American people died of flu in, last year or something. And they say every year, like tens of thousands of American people are dying of flu. This coronavirus only killed 100 plus people. It's not bad. This is the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard in my life. This is really a disservice to everybody who reads something like that. Because you think, oh yeah, hey, that's not too serious. I mean, 80,000 compared to 100? Yeah, this thing's nothing. Bullshit. Okay, first of all, the flu is something that everybody knows about. The entire world is capable of dealing with the flu. We have vaccines for the flu. We know how it works. Secondly, the numbers are shit. China says there were 43 deaths of flu last year, something like that, 57, some stupid small number like that. So I couldn't understand why. I spoke to my wife, who's a Chinese doctor, and I asked her, why is it that China has such a small amount of recorded deaths from the flu? And she made it very simple. And she told me, if somebody, an old person or just anybody, comes into the hospital with a pre-existing condition, let's say they have a heart condition, or maybe they have pneumonia, something like that, and they contract the flu and then die, the death certificate will not record flu. They will write down the pre-existing condition. They'll say they died of pneumonia, they died of heart disease, they died of whatever. However, in the West, if someone comes in with a pre-existing condition and then they die of complications brought on by the flu, it's going to be written on their death certificate, died because of complications, because of influenza or flu. And that's why the number is recorded as a flu death. Whereas in China, it's not recorded as a flu death. So the numbers just aren't there. There is no way that China has less deaths than America because of the large population and the way hygiene and so on works there and the big crowds and everyone getting together. Flu spreads like wildfire there. The numbers are massive, but that's besides the point. The big difference between the flu virus and this coronavirus is the percentage of people that end up in emergency care. 0.01% of people with the flu end up in the ICU.
0.1.
Yeah. 0.01, isn't it? 0.1. I stand corrected. That's not a lot, okay? However, with this particular coronavirus, 1% of people end up in the ICU. Think about that. If your hospital is overwhelmed by people that need emergency treatment because of this thing, 100 people infected, 1% of them are going to be in your emergency rooms, whereas 100% affected by the flu, 0.1% of them are going to be in your emergency rooms. It's a massive thing. Hospitals will be overwhelmed. You and your family will not have access to healthcare because it's going to be full. This is a big thing, and there's no cure and there's no vaccine. To try and compare the flu and try and play this down by saying the flu deaths are more or something is the most irresponsible bullshit thing in the world, and you should be ashamed if you're going down that path.
I have a couple things to say about this. I kind of know how this came about. It's Wu Mao internet troll copy paste shit. Yeah. That we're seeing, because it's like very similar, but it's kind of worded a little bit differently. You know, this whole 80,000 deaths. Don't worry about this. Sure. The thing is, the reason that there's got to be lack of communication, because we know that a lot of these guys are government paid internet trolls, right? Sure. Even the Chinese government put out on Global Times, the CCP wrote down an entire article, and they didn't pull it, about how the way they calculate flu deaths in China is flawed. They even admitted that, and they said, we need to redo the law or do something to change it so it's more transparent, so people can be protected against the flu. Even they went out of their way. So why are these government trolls actually going out and saying the contrary? Yeah. Right? They know very well that that's not the case.
Absolutely.
Right? Number two, the very important thing and distinction about the coronavirus as well is that it's new.
Yes.
It's not very well understood. No. And it hasn't run its course. So you're using data from yearly deaths about the flu in America, which is very transparent, right? And you're comparing it to a virus that is currently incubating in people and spreading, and we don't even know the long-term effects of people that get it. Sure. What if it turns out, and this is just a what if it turns out that a lot of the deaths come 6 months after infection? We don't know that yet.
We don't know anything.
It's brand new.
Yeah.
So you can't make these comparisons.
No, you
it's
can't.
Dangerous.
Absolutely. Anyway, let's continue on, okay?
That's just some more fodder for the arrests.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to bring this up now. I actually have the proper information about what's going on here. Okay. What you're seeing in the background, Nanjing First District in the Jianye district. Sorry, reading these characters is a bit difficult. In Nanjing City. This apartment complex over here has been put under quarantine, but it's not like what you're used to. Basically, what happened is in the middle of the night yesterday, a lot of people came from the health and epidemic departments and public security departments and sealed off 57 units. Households on level 1 to 12 are only allowed to stay at home in order to control the spread of the virus. So what you're seeing here is basically the health people and the Public Security Bureau came in, and they have barricaded people inside their own homes, welded brackets and things on the outside in order to prevent families from leaving. They're not allowed to leave. They're basically stuck inside their apartments. And, this is something that we need to put out there. This is what's happening. It's not like, oh, everything's fine, stay at home and stuff. People are being forced to stay inside their apartments through, actually welding brackets over their doors, locking chains. They're being imprisoned inside of their homes in order to prevent the spread. It's pretty bad. It's pretty damning. And everyone who's like, oh, look, 16 hours, they made a fake stock photo spray thing. Look at what's actually going on in China.
And it's so poorly managed that people that have... This is the problem, right? So when I talked about the people I was talking to that were physically seeing ill people in a city where that had no cases, people are seeing that, and they're also going on Xinhua and China Daily and all this kind of stuff, and they're looking at these maps and saying, wait, my area doesn't have any reported numbers, but they're looking out in their town or their village, and they're seeing people getting ill, right? Sure. So they're like, something doesn't add up here. What do they do? Knee-jerk reaction. They bring bulldozers in and they barricade off their streets. Sure. To the point where people can't come in or come out because the government didn't do anything about it. Yeah. They're playing down the numbers. At the same time, these people are saying, there is a problem on the ground. We have to stop it ourselves, right?
Yeah, we do. So what does this mean for what's going on? Okay. everybody knows this website by now. This is the website everybody's going to for information on kind of like official data of what's going on. But it's all bullshit. Why is it all bullshit? Because these numbers come directly from the Chinese government. And that's the only information, the only data feed that people are getting. And we all know that it's bullshit because there have been cases, families who were told by doctors that their relatives died of the virus. And then on the death certificate, it's written pneumonia was the cause. So if you've got someone who died of pneumonia, it's not going to be recorded as a coronavirus death. They're doing this to play down the numbers. This is just one of the very many little holes we can poke in all this data that's coming out. There's a lot of bullshit going on, so we have to rely on bullshit numbers. And you know what's even worse is how the World Health Organization has been handling this. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah.
So maybe you can explain what the World Health Organization has to do with China.
The problem with the World Health Organization is that one of the member states of the WHO is in fact China.
Yeah.
So they had a meeting, and we saw Winnie the Pooh chilling out on this, kind of lazily sitting there, throwing out some bullshit stuff.
Shinji
I don't understand shit about anything. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, everyone's sitting there looking like, yes. WHO chair members are praising the swift action, not criticizing or giving advice about how to deal with it in the future, because China is a member state.
Yes.
Kind of like how they're in the UN, the WTO. China's in the World Trade Organization with trillions of dollars in IP theft.
Sure.
Right? Literally passing laws and making bills and things within the WTO because they're a member. It's exactly the same thing with the WHO.
Yeah,
right?
they have influence. And we see that
it's
because
dangerous.
Initially the World Health Organization said it's a serious threat within China, but internationally now it's just a moderate threat. They kept playing it down. They then, a couple days later, upgraded it to, it's a serious threat, but they still refused to classify it as an international medical emergency, which it is. Why are they not doing that? And then they say, because we haven't seen human-to-human transmissions outside of China. But guess what? There have been human-to-human transmissions. That bus driver in Japan that was driving around Chinese tourists, the guy in Germany. The fact that this virus is now in so many countries around the world, including in our own neighborhood. We've got people here in LA, near in LA, and Orange County and Irvine and stuff like that. Even down in San Diego, I heard they've got a case. We have people everywhere in the world bringing this virus over from China, and it has started to spread, and at least if it hasn't spread drastically, it is in all the countries around the world now where you've got Chinese diasporas and tourists going. So it is an international health crisis, and it should be classified as one. The problem is the WHO is so worried about drawing the ire of the Chinese government, and they are so worried about losing face and maybe messing up the balance of trade, that they will rather backpedal and play this down.
I think it's one of the greatest travesties of our modern generation is that we allowed the government of China, the CCP, with a track record of some of the worst human rights abuses in the world, some of the worst organizational methods, no accountability, and an absolute terrible oppressive leadership, right?
Yeah.
We watched them censor the internet. We watched them crack down and literally become less free every day.
Yeah.
And we entered and allowed them to enter our world organizations to be a key player and make decisions for the rest of the world. How did it end up like that?
Greed. That's what it is. It's greed, and it's also naivety. The rest of the world doesn't understand how China operates. Most people still have romantic ideas of silk qipao and tea and beautiful operas and fans and things like that and kung fu, and they don't understand that that's not China. China is run by a horrible government, and that's just the fact. We can go and look at what's going on with the Xinjiang camps. We can look at how things are dealt with poorly, how people are cracked down on. There's a reason why you get these dissidents that run overseas and run their mouth about how bad the CCP and stuff is. It's because it's true. And when you live in China for as long as we have, you get to start to see this everywhere. You get to start to see the cracks in the facade. And we're dealing with it now. We're starting to see how poorly they've dealt with this situation and how poorly they continue to deal with the situation and put everybody at risk.
And it's maddening.
It is maddening. Now, before we go into our next segment, let's just look at what's going on behind us. You see, Taiwan put in
Who's not in the WHO, by the way.
They're not. But they put a rule in place that people cannot send export all their masks to mainland China, because they want to make sure that they're going to be masks in Taiwan for when inevitably it starts to spread there, because there's a lot of mainland traffic in back and forth, right? Hong Kong, however, did not do the same. Hong Kong's like, let's just send all our masks over to mainland China. So this is what's happening on the streets of Hong Kong now.
It wasn't necessarily their decision.
No, it wasn't, obviously. But people are queuing up for masks, and the masks have run out, and there's a huge shortage, and there's rationing, and it's a big deal, right? That's what's going on in Hong Kong at the moment. And in fact, that's going to play into our world news segment. But before we do that, it is time we answered some questions.
It's about time, eh?
Yeah.
Sorry for keeping you guys waiting.
Yeah.
Mafsjada, as always, the first one every time. Opinion, insight on why some of the affected don't seem to care about the danger of them going abroad. Already somebody quarantined in my small country far north.
It's arrogance, and it's also selfishness. I think most people understand that if they're infected, most people with common sense understand that the risk of them spreading the virus is great. And so they self-quarantine. They're like, you know what? I'm not going to go to Disneyland because I might infect a bunch of innocent children and bystanders. But why is it that we have Chinese netizens bragging about having symptoms and slipping past quarantine measures to go to Disneyland? Why is this a thing?
It's easy to answer, isn't it?
Selfishness?
Yes.
Why is it that people are bragging about flying abroad when they've got symptoms? Oh, I'm going to France. Look at me. I got through. I was so worried.
It's obviously not representative of everyone, but the fact that it was allowed to happen, come on.
It's arrogance. It's selfishness. And this is another reason why the rest of the world absolutely needs to be vigilant at the moment. Because common sense does not apply to China at the moment. It simply does not. The current setup and the way society works in China, there's a lot of selfishness, there's a lot of me. And because of that, things like self-quarantine is only going to apply to the reasonable people of China. There's a subset of the Chinese population that
it's a lost generation.
Incredibly selfish, that would do anything for their own personal gain. And I mean anything. That's why we see things like the baby milk powder scandal, fake vaccines, all these current people taking advantage by producing fake masks, selling reused masks, things like that, which, by the way, the government has officially announced is a real thing. That's why this subset of selfish, greedy, horrible people are the same people that are going to go and travel abroad and brag about the fact that they're going overseas carrying symptoms.
It's the corrupt nature of a one-party dictatorship that allows this despicable behavior to flourish.
Sure.
Right? So why do people keep promoting the government, saying that they can deal with everything, when it's that very nature of how the government works that allows that stuff to happen?
Exactly.
Right? You don't see that kind of stuff happening in a place like Taiwan with Chinese people.
Yeah.
They're also Chinese.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
So I'm getting pissed off about that. And I also am getting pissed off for the fact that a lot of people refuse to acknowledge that there are shit tons of airplanes flying out of China right now all over the entire world. Just because they're not from Wuhan does not mean there are not incubated people on that plane.
Well, of course.
5 million of them escaped Wuhan.
There's also these posts on social media telling people, if you're going to fly out, first go down to Guangzhou and fly from there, because they're not checking as much.
Guides.
Yeah, there's guides on how to escape, on how to go abroad right now, how to avoid quarantine measures. It's just how it is.
This is the kind of shit that's gonna cause the rest of the world to have adverse reactions towards China, and that's the Chinese government's fault, right? I don't want to see people be unreasonable and unfair to Chinese people. It's not fair, right?
Yeah.
Especially if people are going out of their way to ostracize Chinese people that live in their own country and they have not been back to China, right? That's bullshit. The problem is this kind of really bad behavior from locals in these countries is going to proliferate if the Chinese government keeps allowing people to go.
Sure.
Right?
Exactly. It's a tough thing, and also the rest of the world's also dragging their feet and humming and hawing,
Right.
Why is it that they didn't actually just say, listen, we cannot accept any flights coming out of Wuhan. We know there's a big thing coming, and it just kept,
a lot of them
kept
came out.
kept coming, It's all this worry. It's this worry about people being called racist or being discriminatory or whatever it is, and this is what's stopping logical, straightforward
strategies,
reason and thought and strategies of dealing with a problem like this.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just face it. If we could brush aside all this bullshit and look at the situation for what it is,
deal with it.
This wouldn't have happened in the first place. You know? Anyway, what have we got next?
Kay Carey says, Chinese New Year Hongbao for your kids. Thank you. Josema Fernanda Barreras, Beer Money Dudes. Best information as always here in Spain. We have our first case just 2 hours ago. That's pretty breaking.
Yeah.
All the best. Dwayne Hunter, thank you. Affiliate #1 Coffee Snap, thank you so much. Very generous. Thanks for being honest. When so many governments around the world are downplaying this, please use it for your children.
Absolutely. Dude, seriously. Guys, that's what we're trying to say here, is that we need to be more prepared. Whether you're Chinese or you're in another country somewhere else, you have to stop believing this absolute crap coming from the mainstream media and from everywhere else. This is not some kind of tinfoil hat shit, but we know how China operates, and we know that this is a lot more severe than it's being made out to be.
And why do we need self-congratulation from the Chinese government right now, or from our own Western media outlets, right? Why do we need self-congratulation right now?
We don't.
What purpose does that serve?
None.
How about preparation, advice, dealing with it?
Yeah.
How about China? This is a wild idea, China, if you're listening. How about you let some independent journalists or independent scientists to go do some real fucking statistics?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Because, to be honest, it's your best hope. Australia is the first place to actually come
Christmas
up with,
Island,
yeah, where they actually recreated the virus. You need the help of the West. Stop being so arrogant.
Or anyone. Let people in and take some real data so we know how to prepare.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway,
it makes me mad.
Let's move on to the next
Edward
thing.
Berry, I just wanted to support. I get behind on things sometimes, always trying to keep up. Thanks for the content, friends, and honesty and all. Thank you. Jim Thrower, thank you for making about the crisis. What can we do in the States to help the people of Wuhan? Is there a legal charity we can trust? Absolutely not right now.
No.
It would have to be vetted so hard.
Yeah.
Because look what happened in the Sichuan earthquake.
Yeah.
Everyone was duped. You know, and that's what sucks.
I lost an entire salary, like a whole month's salary, because I donated my salary to help the victims of the earthquake, and I found out later that money never went to them. It was heartbreaking.
Jim, I'm going to look into it though, and I will be asking people if there's some under the table way that people can do this.
Yeah,
right.
sure.
Because it's not going to be a government organization.
No.
Kevin Hilda, if you still need mass check farm stores, auto parts stores, or suppliers like Grainger and Harbor Freight all have online sales. Yeah, we actually found some.
Yeah.
Which is good. I gave tons of boxes to my parents' not to sell, but to use.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a minute.
Yes. P-Dog, thank you. Ellie Munoz, coronavirus report in India. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean that's a problem, you know. India with the Indian
very vulnerable.
hygiene standards and the massive population, this would spread incredibly quickly. You know, having visited India myself and ridden around and stuff there, I know how it is. And just like China, they share a lot of parallels with China, actually. The way
but do you know what would be different?
What?
Although they're more vulnerable on paper, they're also much more transparent and also more open to foreign aid and foreign governments to actually get people in there. Right? Sure. That's the difference.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. They also don't have the resources to just throw it at like China at the moment. So it's a positive and a negative.
Yeah.
I just really hope it doesn't take hold in India.
No, that would be devastating. And I hope it gets eradicated in China.
Yeah.
Zangoose, Pokemon, what's up? Hey guys, have you heard about the Chinese were throwing cats off buildings today due to a doctor say cats cause a virus? Photos were quite graphic. Yeah, and also dogs. Saw a bunch of those today.
Well, like I said, in the last live stream that I did on my channel, the rumors that are being allowed to be spread are things like, oh, pets are the reason for this. And so people are taking these drastic actions. Look, don't get upset when animals are brutally murdered in China. It's commonplace. It's what happens in China. There are no animal cruelty laws in China.
No.
So as upset as we as Westerners get at this kind of thing, in China it's just an everyday
that's
occurrence.
A drop in the bucket. They actually have like citywide culls where they go around and they literally just murder people's pets.
Yeah,
you can find plenty of stuff out there about that.
Yeah.
Do one more and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Miao Nian, the Canadians are still stuck there. Do you think the CCP are holding them because of the Huawei fiasco? Seems like the Taiwanese are also forcefully there. So yeah, did you hear about what happened? The Chinese government won't allow Taiwan to evacuate their citizens.
to repatriate. Well,
they're letting France do it. They're letting America do it.
You know, they're also not allowing British citizens who hold dual nationality. So
nationality,
if
yeah.
they've got like a Chinese and a British passport, they're not allowing them to leave when the British government comes to evacuate them. It's
What assholes?
Selfishness.
What do you think the prerogative is there?
Because they want to prove that
Base?
that Taiwan is not a separate country. They want to prove that if you're a Chinese citizen, you're not allowed to have dual citizenship because you're not allowed to. You know that you're not allowed to in China have a dual citizenship. Most rich Chinese people that I know do. They've got a Canadian passport or an
They just don't
American
tell the
or
government
Australian.
about
Yeah,
it.
but they just don't, report it because you're supposed to. You're not allowed to have to. So this is them saying, well, you want to pretend like you've got another nationality? Well, screw you. You're not leaving.
What a tasteful time, dear CCP, to not allow countries to take their citizens back and put them in proper quarantine.
Yeah,
And treat them. What a nice thing to do.
absolutely.
But you get these people just promoting them.
Let's have one more.
We'll
Sean.
do
What
one
do
more.
you think?
Slow Education says, do you think that there is any chat in China about the CCP has lost the mandate of heaven? Riots in Hong Kong, pig flu, coronavirus, Kobe dying, the omens are bad, right? I got a, believe it or not, I'm not going to say who it was, but it was an elderly gentleman, very poorly educated gentleman, that sent that very thing, listed out the atrocities, and started questioning the mandate of heaven and CCP. Because that old people talk about that.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So yes, I'm sure that's going to be a discussion. Whether anyone does anything about it or not is a different story.
I don't think they can.
No, they can't. But
Yeah.
they are talking about it, which
Sure.
I found interesting. Cool. Let's move on.
Well, actually, we normally do Guanxi Corner before we do World
Yeah,
View.
let's do Guanxi Corner then.
Okay, so let's
yeah.
do Guanxi Corner.
It's not a letter this time.
No, we talk about, sort of relationships and things when it comes to either personal relationships or business relationships or whatever it is regarding China. So what's our Guanxi Corner this week?
I have a friend who does not live in China.
No.
He's from the Netherlands.
Yes.
Okay. Now, he's been following our videos for a very long time. We Skype, we talk. He's a really cool dude. Very nice.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he was a supporter for our Kickstarter, for our documentaries.
Yeah.
Super cool dude.
Super nice guy.
Now, this guy, built up the courage and confidence because of watching our videos to go visit his wife's Chinese, by the way, to go visit his wife's hometown. By the way, she didn't even try to promote this idea. He thought it was a nice thing to do.
Yeah, of course.
1 or
And
2 weeks
it's
trip.
good. It's good to be accepting of your spouse's,
Yes.
culture and everything. It's absolutely necessary if you want to have a healthy relationship.
So they flew from Dutch land to Wuhan,
Yeah.
of all places. And guess what happened immediately?
Yeah, I remember because this unfolded last Friday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is, and I'm going to hide his identity, obviously. I don't know if he wants to talk about it. He's currently trying to get help. He found a way to contact the Dutch embassy, right? Asked what was going to happen. They were going to put him on the evacuation plane that France had because it's EU.
Yeah.
They wouldn't take his wife, even though she's got a Dutch green card, right? So they're appealing, doing all this kind of stuff, and he decided he's got to stay and wait it out.
Yeah.
He's not going to leave his wife there.
Of
He'd have
course
to be a
not.
real douchebag,
Absolutely. I think he did. He did the right thing.
right? Morally, yes, but I can't believe what a terrible situation he's in right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean,
It's
all we can do
horrifying.
is send our moral support and hope that you pull through and that everything goes well. And just use common sense, as far as hygiene and
I'm
whatnot's
sure
concerned.
he is.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Let's move on to Worldview. Now, guys, Worldview, we were talking about face masks in Hong Kong.
This
right?
actually is global. It's not just about China.
Yes, finally, for once, it's actually going to be about the rest of the world. I'm going to talk to you about Daigo. I have a big problem with Daigo. As I stated even earlier in this video, Daigo is basically a parallel trader. I've come across, I'm going to give you my personal experiences now. The first time that they really pissed me off, well, they pissed me off every single time I went to and from Hong Kong, because the Daigo, they go into Hong Kong to buy specifically milk powder or baby formula. That's
Makeup.
number one. Makeup, chocolates, but let's be honest,
Electronics.
iPhones and stuff. And what they do is they bring it, they smuggle it back over the border, but it's an open secret. They're not trying to stop them, okay? You see people literally
You can
throwing
bribe the
packages over the walls and stuff. I got footage of this, which I've been meaning to release for a while now. Anyway, the thing is, they smuggle these products back, and that way they avoid tax, because China has a massive sales tax compared to Hong Kong, like 12% or something. So
On foreign goods.
yeah, well, just on everything. Because
But
remember,
they-
Hong Kong's got like no sales tax.
Right.
So when
But
you
they also tax foreign goods hardcore.
yeah, they do. So when you buy an iPhone in Hong Kong, it costs you a significant amount less than buying it in mainland China, even though they're made in China. It's a weird situation. So basically what happens is people go over, they buy that stuff, they bring it over, then they sell it at a profit. And it's still cheaper than people buying it locally, right? So this goes with electronics and everything, but mainly milk powder. When they had that milk powder scandal, of course, they went and they raped the shelves of Hong Kong and every other country in order to send it back. putting local mothers at risk. That's what really annoys me, is the greed there shows no bounds. You know, it's like you've seen it at the buffets and stuff. If they would leave at least a couple of tins on the shelves, you know, and walk away, maybe buy 5 tins. No, they buy every tin. They don't leave anything for anyone else. So it's a big issue, and it affects people around the world. So now these Daigo scumbags, the second time that I came across a Daigo that really affected me in a bad way is when I went to Japan with my wife, and we went into a shop, and she really wanted to get a pair of jeans or a jacket or whatever it was from this shop. She gets there, they were sold out, okay? So she's incredibly disappointed. You know, we went all the way specifically to this part of the city, to this shop, so we could get it. While she's still ambling around the shop, disappointed, a Chinese student, okay, who's studying in a Japanese university or whatever, walks in, goes to the counter and says, "Have you got my stuff that I asked you to put aside?" Guy pulls out like 20 of those jackets or jeans or whatever it is that I think it was a jacket, pulls them out, puts them on the counter. She had basically bought out the entire stock from the shop so she could go and sell it on Taobao. And my wife, being Chinese, like struck up a conversation with her, and she actually ended up convincing her to let her buy one. But the selfishness of this situation leads to these situations where everything is sold out. Later, because she made friends with this Daigo person, and I've shared it in one of my videos before, I can find the pictures again. On her WeChat moment, she was bragging about everything she bought. So it shows her like apartment in Japan, and the floors are covered in makeup and snacks and clothing or whatever. It's absolutely ridiculous. So although she's there as a student, which I doubt anyway, I mean, she's there probably because the student visa allows her to stay long term. She's actually just running a business. Export business is what she's doing. And it's all illegal. You're not allowed to buy stuff and like send it back, but they got their channels and that's how they do it. So how does this relate to this entire situation we're talking about now? Face masks, okay? Everywhere in the world right now, face masks are being sold out. And it's the same situation. It's not like, oh, I need to buy a couple of face masks for me and my family to send overseas, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to go in and buy 100,000 face masks, every last one I can get my hands on, so I can sell it at a profit to people that are suffering and in need. That's what's going on at the moment. So here we have a picture in, where's that, Japan?
I don't know.
No, it's in
America,
English. Okay. This is in Australia, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. We've sold out of face masks. Sorry for the inconvenience. South Africa, they're selling out, by the way, Discam, which is like the pharmacies there.
This is in LA, by the way.
Yeah, they're completely sold out in South Africa because the local Chinese communities bought all their face masks up. Here is Home Depot in LA, like you say, completely bought out. And you might be thinking, well, that's kind of weird, but take a look at this picture over here, right? This is exactly what I'm talking about.
This is in New Zealand?
Yeah, I believe this is in New Zealand.
Yeah.
But here you've got a couple, right? 2 people. That's it. Look at the amount of masks that they bought. All of them.
Now, if this was altruistic, and they're like, listen, it's going to suck for people in New Zealand, right? Yeah. But at least they're going back to their village and distributing these because people are dying. I can have some sympathy for that.
Sure.
Unfortunately, these are people that are going and not just trying to make a little profit. I'm talking about price gouging out the Yao Ming. Like, these people are, like, some of these people are selling 800 RMB for one mask.
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. My wife bought some for her parents-in-law.
Same.
Yeah. And she worked out that, worked out like $1 or something per mask. And then she looked on Taobao or wherever it was online in China where to buy it. And it's selling for like 5 times as much as like the lowest you can find it. They have, in China, tried to crack down on this. The government fined a pharmacy a huge amount of money because they were price gouging. Okay, they've put out warnings against Taobao sellers that are selling, like I said, fake masks, reused masks, masks with an incredibly high markup, which is good. I'm glad that they're doing something, but it's too little. They've named like 7 Taobao shops or something, whereas this is incredibly widespread.
This is the issue I have is you're going to have, and this is why this should have been the soft power hour, but this is why this is working for China's international image. You know what else they're doing?
Yeah.
They're covering it up by saying, you know what, we actually don't really have a mask crisis. Do you know why? Because they'll get these convenient security footage videos of a random guy that'll run up to a police station and put like 10,000 masks and then run away and they salute him. You know, it's like super manufactured video, right?
Absolutely.
And they promote that stuff saying, look at how nice everyone is. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, people are literally price gouging and some people can't get masks.
Yeah, right? And selling fake and reused masks.
Yes. Like I had a relative say that it's okay if you wash the mask, you can reuse it again.
Yeah, they don't understand how it works. You know, here's the biggest issue is that if, let's just say we point this out, look at what's going on. How many people are going to call us racist?
I hope not. They would be destroying the use of that word, to be honest.
Yeah, but you know how many they will? Because they're trying to deflect away from this stuff. They don't want to acknowledge that this is a real thing. Whereas who's hurting the people in China the most?
Who do you think?
Chinese people.
Yeah.
You know, these unscrupulous, this subset of horrible scammers, Daigo people, they're the ones that are hurting the Chinese people. And for us, pointing out the fact that this kind of thing's going on, this is helping people understand the situation so that they can try and prevent it. This is basically saying, guys, you probably should go and get yourself a box of face masks, because if you don't, the Chinese Daigo will buy every last one in your entire state, or your country.
What another issue I have with this is that we might get that label, the R word, thrown at us, right? Do you know what this is?
People call me racist every day. You think I care?
I don't give a shit. But you see the picture behind us, right? When people in local countries see something like that, it's not a Chinese guy going to buy some masks to send to his family. That is moral, it is acceptable, and you should take advantage of that, right? When they see stuff like this, that's going to promote actual racism.
Absolutely.
Right? Of course people are going to get pissed off at this because they're actually going to hurt their own people in their country and reduce the supply in their host country. Yeah. Right? It's messed up.
It's completely messed up. This is something that we have to condemn, and we have to see it for what it is. And they need to start putting checks and balances in place, like they had to with the milk powder, the baby formula. Now, in places like Australia, you're limited to buying 2 tins of milk powder per person. Doesn't stop the parallel traders. They just go get all their mates. And
but these people actively hurt our wives' families. Yeah. They did, because our wives spent days trying to find masks for their actual parents.
Yes.
Right? These people fucked them up.
Absolutely. Amazon's on back order. A lot of these online shops are all on back order. And people might think, it's fine. I'll probably find them if I go to Lowe's or if I go to whatever. But no, go there now. See if you can find them. They're probably sold out.
I mean, you will find masks, but there will be a point.
How many people have been sending us messages?
Well,
Germany,
even us,
France, freaking South Africa. It doesn't matter. All the masks are sold out. Even 3M has now put out this big thing that we're going to put ramp up production because we need to meet the demand. It's a big deal.
My last disclaimer, though, at this point in time, masks are a big deal.
Yeah.
But the most important thing everyone in China can do is wash their hands. And this will shock people, but a huge chunk of the population does not use soap when they wash their hands. It is not publicly available. Yeah. The lost generation, I'm going to say people 45, 50, 60, that age and older, do not use soap when they wash their hands. Yeah. They don't think it's necessary. No. And I've been called racist because I said a huge chunk of Chinese people do not understand bacteria and viruses.
That's right.
This label is being thrown at me, and people are claiming that everyone in China understands Western medicine, science, and bacteria and viruses. My wife, who is well educated, did not have a science class when she was growing up. Sure. She was educated about this stuff when she studied abroad, right? It got to a point where, and this is, I'm not throwing anyone on the bridge, but someone in my family, who was my father-in-law, bragged. And this is no harm, no foul, because we sorted this out. Yeah. You won't believe this, but he is top tier. Okay. Yeah, he's highly educated. Yes. Right. He knows what he's doing. He's very smart. He's a good guy, and I love him. He bragged that the first day was the other day he'd ever used hand soap in his entire life because it's unnecessary and they don't need it. Right. Yeah. My wife was so appalled at this situation that she tried to explain what viruses and bacteria are, how they can be prevented, and every time you go out, you better start practicing now in the U.S., washing your hands to get ready if you decide to go back to China, right? Yeah. They were like, shut up, you're young, you're naive. They always the age thing. You're so young, you don't understand. We've lived this long without doing it. And we're talking about a country that proclaims itself as like a developed nation, right? So you know what we did? Vivi's idea, and we kind of collaborated on this, was my daughter knows more about bacteria and virus prevention than my parents-in-law. She's 3 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
The reason is she watches educational TV.
Right.
There was a show called Brainchild, which explains kind of scientific phenomena to kids.
Yeah.
We changed it to Chinese, and Vivi said, Mom and Dad, sit down on the couch, and watched a children's show about bacteria and viruses. The whole time they're just on their phone, and they're like pouting like moody teenagers. You know, your parents like make you watch something?
Yeah.
And afterwards, they started washing their hands. They started cleaning everything with disinfectant. They were like going ape. You know, it really, it worked,
Sure.
right? Education is so key. And it's not racist to say that a group of people, there is a subset of people in China that don't understand that.
Yeah.
You can't say it's racist because then you're not affording them the opportunity to be educated.
I mean, again, I just got to bring in this whole deflection thing. The reason why this situation has managed to get out of hand and continues to be underreported and continues to be severe and not dealt with correctly is because of all these stupid deflection techniques. Someone speaks truth. What do? Try to dilute their argument or shut them down by calling them racist. That doesn't work. That's just stupid. It's not an argument. Someone speaks the truth. Try to deflect with whataboutism. Oh, America's got more deaths from flu than this thing ever, you know? Everything's fine. It's all a bunch of bullshit. And this is what we have to cut through. If you are an intelligent, sane, reasonable person, cut through the bullshit. Stop believing all this nonsense. Follow your nose, see what's really going on around you, and pay attention. Right now, this is a massive issue. If it wasn't so big, why do they have to build these fancy hospitals that can take thousands of people? Why are they rushing to do this if it wasn't so drastic? Why is it that the face masks are being sold out around the world? If it's just a small little thing, just 100+ deaths or whatever, why is it that the face masks are being sold out around the world? It is a big deal. This is a huge deal. Wake up, smell the roses, and stop falling for all the misinformation and bullshit around you. It's basically what I'm trying to say.
Amen.
Yeah. Let's get some questions.
Sure. All right. Do you think that... Oh, sorry, I already did that. Loki Consultants. I followed you guys for the last 3 years. I recently saw another YouTuber who lives in Shenzhen criticizing you, calling you blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. Thank you. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Ian Chapman.
Hey, hear me out here, because this happens a lot, right? There are lots of YouTubers, especially the smaller ones, that attack both me and C-Milk. It's very simple. If someone's trying to attack my character or his character, not attack the arguments or the subjects we talk about, then you can tell it's just a bunch of shit.
And you'll always be ignored.
Like, why would someone try to assassinate someone's character? The only reason you do that is if you lose an argument. Think about children on the schoolyard.
Right.
Someone says, like, my dad's stronger than your dad. Oh, no, my dad's stronger than your dad. Oh, well, you smell bad. You know, that's exactly what we're talking about here. So
correct.
I don't give a shit what people think about me. I never have.
Neither do I.
So, you know what? Call me what you want, but dispute what I say.
I would prefer if people were reasonable, yeah. But we can never expect that.
No.
Deanne Chapman, thank you. There's a website that reports a virus. It says 3 deaths in Queensland, Australia. False information. I don't think there has been any deaths outside of China. From what we've seen, there has not been deaths outside of China yet.
This also leads into what we've been trying to say about the lack of hygiene and stuff like that, because Western developed nations have reached a point where just scientific knowledge and so on is so widespread that, like you said, your daughter's watching a show on viruses and bacteria on TV.
She's well educated, and she understands it too.
People follow hygiene practices like not spitting or blowing snot rockets on the road or in public places. People do wash their hands, et cetera, et cetera. We could go on. They cover their mouth when they cough. Dude, in China, when people cough in public, they very seldom cover their mouths, okay, or sneeze or whatever it is. It's these basic hygiene practices that are preventing massive spread in the West at the moment, and also common sense. And whenever someone is detected to have the virus, they're properly quarantined and the right amount of medical attention is given to that one person. So you'll have a whole wing of a hospital paying attention to like 1 or 2 cases, whereas in China, the doctors and the healthcare workers are overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of people coming in. And then these sick people are spitting around the place and doing the usual bullshit.
No soap.
which is spreading the virus even more. That's why we're seeing such a massive spread within China and not elsewhere. It's because of this lack of education and hygiene that we're talking about.
And
here.
deflection.
Yes, deflection. Anyway.
I was going to say something, but I'm too mad. Okay. Wow, I hate how this snaps. All right, cool. Thanks for Jeremiah Johnson said, thanks for keeping us informed. Hope things look less bleak soon. Appreciate the content. Worthless Whips rocks. Thank you.
Thank you. We put our episode on hold this week because this coronavirus thing is
We've
far
lost
more
so
important.
many nights of sleep because of this. We're like researching as much as we can and talking to people as well.
Yeah.
Justin
Next week.
Yeah. Great work. Biden's son signed a $1.5 billion deal with China. Coincidence? Don't know. Nikki Pereira, there are YouTubers smearing you, calling you racist. I'm an Indian who's lived in South Africa. I don't think you're racist. I also visited Beijing in China, and I think your criticisms are valid.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being a reasonable human being.
I actually don't think that most people who use the racist word really understand what it means because they haven't grown up in a place like South Africa. That's why I can get along with people from different races all the time, because we grew up in this terrible sort of environment of racism everywhere, and that's why I have black friends and Indian friends and colored friends. Colored, by the way, is a kind of a race in South Africa.
It's an official term.
It's an official thing, etc., etc. And Taiwanese friends and so on, because we grew up that way. So when some people go ahead and they say to you, "Oh, I've got black friends," or whatever, as a diversion, or black people be like, "I got white friends," or whatever. I can actually claim that as a truth, growing up as a minority in my country.
To be fair, that applies to America as well, except throw the racism thing out of the way. There wasn't a toxic environment I grew up in. I grew up in a very multi-ethnic society.
Correct.
With friends from everywhere. And we didn't even talk about it. Maybe there was jokes here and there.
Sure.
But don't use this word so lightly. You're ruining its purpose.
I think if anything else, all it's going to do is prove that this is a weak argument, and it's being used as a way to dilute a message and to try and divert attention away from the mismanagement.
Don't fall for it. Don't be an idiot.
The mismanagement of the Chinese government of this situation.
Stop patting them on the back.
Yeah.
Media concept. How aware are Chinese of cybersecurity and malware prevalent in China? Well, I think it's kind of like this. You have a fish. And it has a parasite so long that reproduces so much that it kind of thinks it's always been there. It's just its host. That's what a Chinese computer looks like. It's made of malware, and if you took one of them away, it would crumble.
That's
it would die.
San Liu Ling shit. It's basically a malware virus on your computer, but it's a free antivirus type thing that everyone installs.
It is malware.
It is a malware. It
spies on you.
And it pops up a billion adverts and stuff all over.
So they're all too aware, but maybe they think it's always been like that.
Yeah, probably.
Who declared it an international emergency right now?
Wow, did they?
That's great. Little too late.
Yeah.
Thanks for the great show. Thank you very much.
Yeah. See, it's this bullshit tiptoeing around, and we don't want to be labeled as like discriminatory or racist.
I think it goes beyond that. I think people are in their pockets.
Yeah, that too. But it's this tiptoeing and the slow response that has led to the spread of this thing in the first place. If it had been dealt with correctly in the beginning, we wouldn't be facing this. But that being said, we can't keep harping on about how bad they dropped the ball, because it is what it is.
Yeah.
What we need to do is we need to now focus on what we can do. We have to pierce through this deflection and bullshit.
That's the problem, though, is that the majority of the opinions that you hear, there's less how to deal with it, how to prevent it in the future. Let's think about the future. Yeah. Let's think about the long game here. How can we stop it in the future? And there's more, no government could have done this like China. It's almost playing into their hands.
Yeah.
You'd think this be egg on face for China, the Chinese government right now. It's playing into their hands.
Unfortunately, that's why this is going to happen again. Because they're not going to be held accountable, because everyone's going to sing their praises. And the next time something like this happens, they're like, well, guess what? We really screwed up, but no one actually knows. They just ended up praising us.
This is going to be in Chinese history books as a massive victory.
Yeah, they're going to be like, look at how China overcame this, staring this massive problem in the face. Not like, look at how the Chinese government caused this problem, And then they're going to be, oh, it's all cool. And the next time it happens, it'll be the same again. So rather than saying, guys, we screwed the hell up, we better make sure this doesn't happen again, they're going to be like, we overcame this, we're good.
Yeah, well, do you think the few people in power in the CCP are going to step down over this? Give me a freaking break.
Nope, just the Wuhan mayor is going to be, screwed up, yeah.
Big Text, China still refuses to report on how many infected people become zombies. Yeah, I get, there's a lot of zombie jokes being thrown around.
Apparently, online games has seen like online massive multiplayer games. Any kind of zombie-themed game has seen a massive influx of Chinese users.
Really?
Because they're just, I guess they all have to stay at home anyway, and so it's on their mind.
You want to know some real Chabadoa shit?
What's that?
There have been reports, and this is official. This is not official data, but these are from people that actually are reporting this.
Yeah.
There are certain areas and cities in China where they unblock torrents of porn.
Oh,
so
really?
that people will be incentivized to stay home. Imagine all of a sudden you can look at porn, right?
Oh, I mean,
and it's been verified.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes.
Because that's fully illegal in China.
Right, but
Yeah.
think about it. It's like a great way to get people not to go out, right?
I mean, if that's true, that's awesome.
It's absolutely true. It wasn't
Yeah.
nationwide, though.
Okay, all right.
Innocent bystander. Jio Nation posted a video on leaving China. It's scary. What his wife, it's his wife.
Yeah.
Live with China or die with China stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people we know are leaving. Well, actually, most people we know already left.
Yeah.
But the few foreigners that we keep in really good close contact, they're leaving.
Yeah. No, you have to understand the circumstances surrounding this is if you're a fairly high-profile foreigner and you're well-known and you're seen as, oh, I'm leaving right now, it causes a lot of waves. And a lot of people, especially if their wives are nationalistic, I'm not saying Jayo's like this. I'm just saying they're probably going to be pressured to stay, to say, oh, it's not that bad. We're going to just wait it out. So a lot of
they
people
don't want
are
to leave
doing
their
that.
families.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's not about leaving a family. It's to take your family with you.
Yeah, I'm talking about their other family members, though.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, sure.
That don't have a way out. Kevin Spinney, who announced an hour ago, it's a Golden Mercy. Thank you.
It's about bloody time, like we say. Yeah.
Mike the Raptor, just a small thank you for the years, for excellent, unique content. Learned so much about China from you both, mostly extremely positive. Thank you for combating ignorance and sharing your adventures.
Thank
It is literally why we get up in the morning now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dylan K, more Worthless Whips content. Insert channel plug here. Absolutely, it's coming. We have to be vigilant on this coronavirus thing right now.
I was halfway editing the next video. What was it, Monday?
Yeah.
And then I just kind of gave up because of all this other crap that's going on.
So much on our plates.
Too much. We're dealing with helping friends out that are there, etc. So next week, as long as this virus thing kind of stabilizes in some way, next week you can expect another episode.
But we're still going to be 24/7 on information, separating the wheat from the chaff, what is correct and what is not.
Absolutely.
Verifying. Thank you. Making up for all the live streams I missed. Thank you, Jacob. I don't know what that means, but thank you, JMR O'Brien. Re Camizono. Don't expect much from CCP for me. They're a cloud of grasshoppers. Destroy and take everything they touch in one way or the other. Yeah, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Zardel McKnight, why is this man, I don't want to give him any traffic calling you guys racist. Everything you're saying is so true. How is this racist?
Who cares? Like we've already talked about the racist thing. It's just a diversionary tactic to try and dilute our message and to try and mask the truth.
Despite what people like maybe they watch a lot of MMA or the Jerry Springer or something, despite what people might like, that dramatic element, we are never going to do that.
Here's the thing. When you've got a massive crisis like this going on, where you should be focusing on helping remedy the situation, helping people, why would you involve yourself in petty YouTube drama?
You wouldn't.
And attacking other people. That's not
that's not why we do YouTube.
Yeah, that's not what's going on at the moment. We're focusing on the important issues. We're not that selfish.
No, and thank you, Zardel. Ronnie, CH Tourists also empties stores of milk formula here in Denmark. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
that was a big thing. The WHO announcement today praised China for so much for the response and said the announcement was not a judgment on China. Said that 2 times. I believe China influenced delayed BHE for many days. I don't think that's even speculative.
No, it's absolutely right. Yeah.
Tanui Tahitian Faya. Whoa. On my home island of Tahiti. Wow, that's really cool.
Nice.
We got people from everywhere.
Yeah.
Our local Cantonese community that I share ancestry with, just like our wives.
Yeah.
Who's been there for 150 years, have been harassed right now because of coronavirus paranoia. Yeah. Please hope to see you back in ST soon. Yeah.
This is another
something
thing.
I hate.
Yeah, something we have to talk about. Again, this was my video for tomorrow, but I don't care.
You can just let into a little bit.
Here's the thing. Let's reverse this situation right now. If the coronavirus was coming out of America, okay, it would be very hard to identify who's American, who's not in your country because of all the different ethnicities in America. You've got Samoans and you've got Africans and you've got Indians and you've got everyone who are American citizens. So if you're in a country and you see a random brown guy on the street or black guy or white guy or whatever, you can't automatically say he is American. But China is only full of Asian people, only. Asian ethnicity. The Han majority and various little minorities. But for the outsider, when you see an Asian person, there's a big possibility that they are Chinese.
The biggest population is China.
Yeah, and big possibility that they have come from China. So you might automatically be wary of them by thinking, wow, maybe they've come here with the virus, which of course is going to lead to a lot of unnecessary discrimination and hard feelings. But at the same time, it would be absolutely foolhardy not to be cautious if you live in a majority Asian community, or if you shop at Asian supermarkets where you know for a fact a lot of Chinese people who could have recently traveled to and from
Especially
China,
because of Chinese New Year.
yeah, are shopping and carrying on. If you're going to go to an Asian supermarket like that, wear a bloody mask. You're not racist to do that. You're being cautious because you do not want to perhaps put your family at risk. You know?
Now, on the flip side of this, it is, and this is the problem, this deflection and all of the nasty ways that the Chinese government has come up with to actually exacerbate this is going to promote a lot of racism and very despicable behavior amongst other countries' peoples. And that sucks. And that's unfortunate, and I hate that. So discrimination is different than keeping safe, right?
Yeah.
If you know there were people that were recently, literally just in China, whether they're Chinese or not, just flew back home, you better damn well be careful, right? You'd be foolish not to. It's not racist to protect yourself, to wash your hands more thoroughly. It doesn't mean they're dirty, right? That's not what we're talking about. Now, that being said, if you are going to like some Korean restaurant, right, with a bunch of Korean people that have been there their entire lives, you damn well better not be discriminatory. That's absolutely abhorrent, right?
It's going to lead to a lot of people's feelings being hurt at the end of the day, but guess what? People's feelings being hurt is different from people dying. So it's sometimes, there has to be a sacrifice made,
For sure.
Just the way it is.
Daniel P. Thanks as always. Keep up the good work. Thanks. Dylan. Whoa. Free Corona for all Wu Mao. I hope you mean the beer.
Yeah.
FJFJ, will there be any more Surviving Africa videos? I think you're working on one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks. Max Rottenstein. If there are 40,000 beds in Wuhan and more hospitals are needed, what do you estimate is the real number of infected? I'm not a doctor, nor am I a scientist, but there are health professionals that speculate could be anywhere from 90 to 200,000 affected.
I mean, look, also one thing you have to understand about the hospitals that they're building them specifically as kind of like a quarantine zone. So, perhaps there are these amount of beds available, but they don't want to be mixing the people just pitching up with normal flu and stuff with the actual coronavirus people. Another thing about the numbers coming out of China is the Chinese health professionals have themselves admitted that they've run out of test kits.
Right, so how do you know?
So how do they know the numbers? The numbers are bullshit because they don't even have the test kits to find out, Even
if they did, they wouldn't be reporting.
And you see all this media, the sending in the PLA guys to help out and building these hospitals. Why the fuck can't they then send enough face masks and stuff for the hospital staff? Why can they send in the military and they can build a hospital in like a week or whatever, but they can't send test kits and face masks to all the doctors? My doctor friends in Shenzhen are ill-equipped. They don't even have N95 masks. They've just got those stupid surgical masks, and they have to deal with the public that are sick.
You know what the CCP would rather do?
What?
Spend millions of dollars on these like huge, elaborate like live streams and shows where they're singing about the Communist Party of China with like inspirational messages. They'd rather spend millions of dollars on that.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but it makes me angry that there's all this bullshit going on where very basic things like medical supplies, you've got the doctors in the hospitals asking for crowd-funded donations, asking the public to send them masks and basic medical supplies. Yet all the government can do is make puff pieces about how it's sending in the military, how it's building a hospital, how it's doing this, how it's doing that. Come on, guys. Wake the fuck up.
Seriously. Agreed. Daryl S., keep up the good work. Money for the other kind of corona.
Nice.
I wonder if the prices have fallen. I saw a very funny tweet. It wasn't real, but it was pretending to be the coronavirus, the Corona Beer Company's Twitter account. It said, "Stop fucking asking us about the virus."
Yeah, it's very unfortunate for them.
Yeah. Daniel P., what about rumors that came from bioweapons in Wuhan? We're not going to.
No, I mean, come on, that's just tinfoil hat crap. If it's true, it'll come out eventually, but
That's the thing is we like to avoid conspiracy. I saw a lot of people like talking about our videos on some of these conspiracy things. That is literally the opposite. We are very black and white.
Yeah.
Skeptical people that only believe facts.
I've heard things like, medical staff that were dealing with this like bioweapons lab or something are the ones that caused it. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, whoever was the carrier ended up going to that market, and whether it was the animals, the live animals there, the wild animals that they sell, or some human, because those wet markets are such a hub of activity every day. It's a daily occurrence where thousands of people go and buy their vegetables and raw meat and stuff.
Right.
That environment is what led to the spread of this thing. No matter where it came from, we can very much say that market is where the spread came from, because people are going in there coughing, touching their meat, cross-contamination everywhere. So it doesn't matter if it was a medical staff or this or that. It still all came from there. So let's focus on that.
Last one. Brandon James says, do you think the virus is way out of hand and Xi Jinping obviously won't step down as a leader? Do you think there would be a great revolt? There is definitely a lot of potential for questioning and a lot of people that are going to be pretty pissed off. But the Chinese government, if they have one thing under control, it's people, right? Yeah. I'm not talking about what they're thinking. Yeah. But they will absolutely use, and they've proven this time and time again, they will use the most brutal, unbelievable methods to suppress their population. That's right. So you probably won't see a successful revolt if there is ever one.
Exactly. By the way, we are currently in our Q&A section where we answer questions.
Sure. I'll ask
we have to get a couple of normal questions, and hopefully we can.
So this person was quoting that this whole coronavirus thing is a conspiracy. It doesn't really exist. It's not bad. And this person retorted, men have been arrested with relation to the coronavirus. So yeah, these arrests, like we showed the eight or nine people that were arrested, right? But there are a lot more that are coming out. Not coming out to Western media outlets, but are leaking through WeChat. A lot of people are getting questioned, having tea. Yeah. Just by talking about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thanks, China. Thanks, Chinese government. Putting the correct efforts in the right places, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. While you look for another question, I just have to once again reiterate the end goal of us making videos covering this topic is to try and educate people. It doesn't matter if you're a Westerner or if you're from China, wherever you're from. We want people to be able to deal with this crisis.
Why do you think we're so mad?
In the correct manner, and not listen and eat up this absolute bullshit that's being fed to you by the mainstream media and by the Chinese government. The mainstream media is getting all of its information from the Chinese government. And we know from experience just how badly the Chinese government deals with these kind of situations, because they can never be seen as being wrong, because that would undermine their control. Absolutely. So, we just have to take everything with a pinch of salt that comes out of the Chinese government, And there's a motive behind it. It's always going to be biased. It's always going to be unfactual. Whatever the word for unfactual is, false.
Yes.
Okay? Like the GDP numbers, like the birth rates, like the amount of people that die from flu, like everything.
Everything's fake.
All the numbers are fudged. When you have driven around like we have China in the rural areas and seen China uncut, you will see that there are still people living in caves without shoes. I'm not saying that's a very common thing, but why don't people understand that the poverty level in China is still very high?
Can we squash this? Can we squash this? Yeah. It'll take me 10 seconds.
Go for it.
You can't say the Chinese government lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty when you change the poverty number to less than $1 a day, while the rest of the world, or at least America, is using $30 a day as a schematic. Does that not make sense to you?
Yeah, sure.
You can't change that number to 90 cents a day and say, look it, we did it.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's just at the end of the day, numbers that suit the government's needs. And the problem is this is now translating to this virus as well.
Right. I got a few more here. Jack Ryan, just a friendly reminder to do a Conquering Australia video. Will at some point.
Absolutely.
I think we'll probably have to get Chinese visas, though.
Why?
To go to Australia?
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
I was waiting for you to say that. Yeah.
Well,
you got to say it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a Chinese colony, after all.
Kyle, thank you.
Conquering Western China or something, or maybe Eastern China, or southeastern China or something, yeah.
Island China.
Yeah, Chinese island.
Yeah. Thank you for all you've done to introduce us to China over the years. Longtime fan. How familiar are you with Joe Rogan and friends? Have you ever thought of getting reviews onto his show? You have no idea, and especially right now. There are hundreds of people trying to contact him to get us on the show, and we have had no response. So,
yeah. So who knows?
We'll wait. Daniel P. Any intel on the situation in Hong Kong of cases spreading, border closures, or travel bans coming? I believe it's 100 cases right now. They're definitely dealing with it properly.
Hong Kong is the reason that SARS was
Correct.
stopped. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute because people don't seem to understand. When the SARS outbreak happened, the world did not know about it. Okay, it was basically it was a secret. No one knew what was going on because it was happening in China. There was a big outbreak. People were dying of this mystery disease. It was spreading. But it was only when a doctor from mainland China went to a wedding in Hong Kong and died that people realized something was wrong because other people that went to the wedding were infected too. Then somebody who was infected that was staying in an apartment complex took a shit on the toilet there, and through the plumbing system it spread and infected other people in the same apartment complex. It was a battle and a race against time for the medical professionals of Hong Kong to contain this. They have a special quarantine hospital in Hong Kong, which they then quarantined everyone. They figured it out. At first, they tried all sorts of ways to combat this. They were dealing with an unknown, but they managed to quarantine it. That's why Hong Kong takes it so seriously. That's why whenever you cross in between mainland China and Hong Kong, they've got the temperature sensors. They've got the medical staff there. Every day, it's not like, once a week or something. Every time you cross the border, you are being scanned for your temperature. If they see you've got a slightly higher temperature or you're wearing a hat, they ask you to take it off. They come and scan your forehead with one of those infrared scanners. It's because they saw how severe it was. And they're the guys who figured this out. While mainland China, we don't actually know how many people died of SARS.
I have no idea.
We don't know how bad it was because of the misinformation, So Hong Kong is probably the best equipped in the entire world to deal with this thing right now. So I've got every confidence, even though they're facing all this unrest and all this other bullshit, I have every confidence that they are going to be able to deal with the situation.
We can only hope.
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about how Taiwan protects themselves from the virus spreading this time around? We'll talk to some Taiwanese friends.
Yeah,
give us another job.
Yeah.
Hey guys, do your bit for civilization. Have more kids. Working on it.
I've got a daughter now, and she's absolutely adorable, and I'm very happy that I did. Yeah.
I don't know if maybe I'll have a third at some point. What would you say to the many academics that are there who keep excusing the CCP's policies and with whataboutism? I say grow up and be held accountable for disinformation. This is ridiculous, and be professional.
Yeah.
Don't rely on two freaking YouTubers that have to break this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
It's absolutely pathetic. And stop listening to the CCP's own propaganda. You're dealing with a country that literally controls its entire population by feeding them their own little lies, their own little stories, making sure that they keep power. If someone's an artist or a dissident or something, they block off the internet for a reason, okay? Because
do people not see how ridiculous that is?
Yeah. I mean, they don't want people to know what's going on other than what they say. They're now arresting people if you say anything that's not official news from Xinhua. They're threatening to arrest people for that. This is what you're dealing with. And yet you take them at face value and you listen to their word, Come on.
What world, what generation are we going through right now? It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I feel like 20 years ago, you wouldn't have people championing like the Soviet Union type-esque oppression.
Yeah.
Right now, people are buying the bullshit.
They are. Absolutely. It's nonsense.
Why, CCP, why are you allowed to have Twitter? Why are you allowed to have Facebook? Why do you have an Instagram?
Yeah.
Why do you have YouTube channels?
Sure. People's daily tweeting your fake stock images. Why are you using Twitter?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's not allowed.
Yeah.
According to you.
Yeah. Anyway.
Are people being locked in their homes? If so,
yeah,
I was trying to finding this. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Kenneth, go back in the episode when it's up.
Yeah, the episode will be, uploaded straight after this. It takes a while. YouTube does the processing. But you'll actually be able to go back and look in the episode. You will see.
Correct. Andrew, thank you. And Koala1203. This is literally the plot of World War Z, the book. Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. I think it's about it, guys.
Yeah, it's been a rant-filled one. Apologize again, but
I think it's useful and helpful.
This is really something that's been annoying the crap out of me because
both of us were losing sleep.
Guess what, guys? Maybe, and this, I'm not trying to make a dig at people out there, but maybe this doesn't affect you. Okay, maybe not, but this definitely affects us. You know why? It's because we have family in China. We have friends in China. Okay, we lived in China for so long. We've got a lot invested in China. And that's what's annoying. We're not sitting here wringing our hands and like, oh, look at what's happening over there. We're actually incredibly concerned and worried. You know how many of my friends and ex-clients and colleagues and so on, you know, in the medical profession are in so much danger at the moment? My wife being a doctor, the majority of her social circles are doctors too, or involved in the medical profession. These are people that I have been, you know, that I know and have been getting together for years with family, friends, you know, people that, you know, I know their children, I know, you know, these are the people that are in the most danger at the moment. And that's why I'm so angry with all these stupid people trying to divert attention away from the real issues here.
Because we know victims.
Yes.
All right? It hurts.
Anyway, guys, I think that's really it for today. Thank you very much for watching. And you know the drill. As always, stay awesome. You can catch my video tomorrow. Just basically, I rehashed a lot of it in here, but give it a watch anyway.
Check out my coronavirus videos as well.
Absolutely. All right, guys. See you next time.